Pokémon Champions drops in April, and if you wait until launch day to prepare, you are gonna be behind, my friend. So today, we're gonna be taking a look at some of the things you should do to prepare, 15 things you may have not noticed about this game, which you may learn for the first time now. So let's get into it. Number 1, make sure to set up Pokemon Home first. Yes, if you do not have Pokemon Home, you quite literally will almost need it for this game. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. If you transfer a Pokemon over to Pokemon Champions, you can transfer them back, but any Pokemon you earn in Champions itself will not be transferable into Pokemon Home, which means if you do want to get certain Pokemon in Champions, which are going to be harder to get, or if you need to grind for them, but you just want to get them instantly, you're going to have to use Pokemon Home, and of course, you know, get them from there, which the only way to get them in Home is to, of course, do something else, which is to play the other Pokemon games, which we'll get to in a second. Number 2, go and catch every Mega Pokemon you can in Legends ZA. If you don't have Legends ZA, then you might be a bit in trouble. I mean, there are going to be a few Megas available in Champions, but that's going to require you to get the Battle Pass and things of that nature. However, if you have Pokemon Legends ZA, right now is your perfect chance. Go and catch every Pokemon that is confirmed. Now, we do know a few confirmed Megas like Charizard, Gengar, Scizor, Tyranitar, Garchomp, Lucario, and Dragonite. These are confirmed to actually be in Pokemon Champions, and loads more might be there too. Like, I think we also have a confirmation for Emboar also being in there, and I think Greninja is going to be in there, and Delphox, and like all the starters pretty much that do have Megas will probably be in the game in Champions, and as such, you might want to go get their Mega Stones and get their Megas sorted out for yourself before the game comes out, so you don't have to deal with that or stress about it when Champions comes out itself. Also, make sure to prioritize some hard to get Pokemon. There's going to be certain Pokemon that are just generally harder to get your hands on, so if you still have the older copies of certain games like Pokemon Legends Arceus or anything like that, maybe try to get some Hisuian forms, some version exclusives, some restricted Pokemon. I don't know how legendaries are going to work in the game. They haven't really confirmed much about that, but maybe stock up on some of them, or make sure that some of the ones you have, if you have like duplicates, go get those. For example, you could use, which is our next tip, Pokemon Go. Yeah, Pokemon Go is actually great because some of you might have stocked up on loads of legendaries in the past. This might be your chance to go and get your hands on them, because if you do have a few of them, go get them from Pokemon Go and transfer them. So legendaries, shinies, we don't know how they're going to work. We don't know if like shinies will be transferable, or if shinies will actually appear shiny in the game, or if that's going to make a difference. But basically, if you have any duplicates, you can use them here perfectly to experiment with, mess with, change the stats on them and stuff like that. It's the perfect opportunity to do that. Also, maybe try to figure out Pokemon that you already want to have for competitive play. Maybe you already have a few Pokemon that are like sort of set up, because unfortunately IVs are probably going to be gone in this game, which means you don't have to go for, go for any Pokemon that have IV spreads, but try to maybe go for Pokemon with specific abilities, so you don't have to spend VP in the game itself, so you don't have to waste your VP, which are basically your victory points, right? These are the currency in the game that you spend. If you don't want to spend any of those, maybe use the chance right now to go and look for Pokemon of yours, which you already have, and organize them up, because you still have some time before the game comes out to actually prepare for these sorts of things. Also, I already mentioned a little bit, but I should mention it again, which is finish the Switch games. Yes, if you own Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, if you own Pokemon Legends ZA, if you own Pokemon Sword and Shield, Diamond and Pearl, or rather Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, or even just any of those games, right? You might have the best opportunity right now to go get your hands on everything, right? Go finish those games, clear the post-game content, and farm for any of the competitive things you need, or just farm for any of the Pokemon you need specifically. Get your hands on them as early as you can, because it will just save you time, and again, VP in Pokemon Champions itself, if you don't have to spend your points in the game itself on just stuff that you could already have prepared from the regular game. So make sure to finish all your Pokemon games already if you haven't. If you of course have, then you don't have to worry about it, but if you haven't, definitely do it now. Now, obviously, the first season of Pokemon Champions, the first like launch season, is most likely going to have to do a lot with Mega Evolutions. So Z moves are not going to be there, or Terrestrialization or anything like that. It seems like Megas are going to be like the #1 priority. But that means for you, you should definitely make sure that you prepare some Mega Pokemon. We already talked about getting a bunch of Mega Pokemon, but actually prepare them. Like, figure out which Pokemon like Megas you want to use, whether it's Mega Dragonite or Mega Garchomp. Even Mega Garchomp Z just came out. So go get yourself Mega Garchomp Z. If you don't have the DLC, you may not be able to get it, but definitely try to get it if you already have have the DLC for Legends ZA. Get all of those and prepare them and just slot them into your Pokemon Home already, or if Pokemon Home is not available for whatever Pokemon you want to transfer, just wait until the availability becomes possible, which I think home compatibility should be possible now with ZA, but basically just prepare your Pokemon for transfer because it will be useful, but also get these Mega Pokemon specifically sorted out which ones you want to use, because you will have a limited amount of space in Champions itself. So try to figure out which Pokemon you think competitively will be the most useful to you and which ones you think you will see most use cases from. So definitely do that too. Also, since there is a limited quantity of actual spaces, there's only 30 spaces you have in the actual game. Like, you don't have anything else, okay? You have only 30 spaces to work with in the actual PC in Pokemon Champions. You will need to make sure that you prepare the proper Pokemon. So instead of preparing like 100 different Pokemon, try to like lock it down to maybe 10 or 20 or so that you want to transfer over, so you know exactly what you want to go for, so you could already have a competitive team to go day one. Because I'll be honest with you, the limited space means you're not going to be able to transfer everything you want to. You're gonna have to keep it very limited in terms of what you can add. Also, figure out what you want to do with this game. Do you want to go in free to play? Do you want to go in full pay to win? It really is up to you. I mean, I say pay to win, and I have a whole video I'm going to make about this because the game does have some pay to win aspects to it. Like, for example, you do have the starter pack, which in itself isn't necessarily pay to win. What it does though offer you, the starter pack, is access to more spaces in the PC. So going from 30 to 80 spaces, which is pretty significant. But also it gives you just some extra tickets and stuff which you can use, and of course those tickets can, of course, I think, be exchanged into VP points. So I mean, you know, I ain't gonna say nothing about that, but that is a thing. But also you do have a membership. So if you don't want to be a, you know, free to play player, you might have to buy the membership, which will again also give you bonuses and extra things in the game. And then of course there is the battle pass, which is the biggest one. So if you don't own Pokemon Legends ZA and you don't want to go and play it to get the Mega Stones, or if there is no possibility to transfer the Pokemon with Mega Stones, you may have to get the battle pass to get certain Mega Stones. Like for example, Embor's Mega Stone and Embor itself are available in the paid battle pass. So keep these things in mind, because if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to spend the money, you're going to have to go fully free to play. And if you're doing that, maybe try to take your time right now. If you don't want to be spending money on Champions itself, maybe use Pokemon Home, which is probably going to be the cheaper option across the board, and then transfer Pokemon if you already own the main games. So that's probably going to be the best case scenario for you here. But yeah, make sure to figure out ahead of time how you want to do these things. Do you want to pay for the battle pass? Do you want to pay for the membership? Do you want to get the starter pack, which, I mean, we don't even know what it's going to cost. It might be like 25 bucks or something. You know, make sure you figure out these things ahead of time first. Don't waste your VP. Yes, there will be VP and tickets and items you can use in the game. Do not waste these, okay? Do not waste these early on. Keep them on you. Don't waste them. Don't throw them away, because these will probably be useful later down the line. The game is going to have some sort of system similar to banners from something like Genshin Impact, which is a very common thing in gachas. When these banners are not going to be ones where you pull to get a chance to get a Pokemon, rather you just purchase the Pokemon you want, but these banners would go in phases where they will have certain Pokemon available. At least that's what it looks like on the website. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me in the future in the comment section, but generally speaking, make sure just do not waste your VP, especially on things that don't, you know, need to be wasted on. So just keep your stuff on you, keep your currency as much as you can until you get the perfect Pokemon that you know, this is the one, this is what I want to build on, so you don't waste your currency on increasing the effort values on, I don't know, a random Wailord that you don't really have a use case for. You get the point. My main point is just don't waste your currency early on, keep it at hand, and maybe eventually use it when you know exactly what Pokemon you want to completely build out. Also, this is going to be a really random detail, but do keep up with the meta, right? Because there's going to be a lot of meta like changes and predictions, and the Japanese scene and even the Chinese and just non-English speaking scene do have a lot of great content and stuff you can look into, specifically to learn about what the meta is going to look like, what sort of things people are going to be using, what kind of Pokemon might be great to use and things like that. So keep up with the meta. It's going to be very important, especially for a game like this, because it is a competitive game at the end of the day, and as such it means you're going to have to keep up with what everybody else is doing, what is currently working. So definitely keep track of those things. Also, a good thing to probably do is to clean out and organize your Pokemon Home. We already spoke about just setting up Pokemon Home in general, but make sure you also like organize it up and figure out what Pokemon you want to use, and, you know, keep it clean. Don't keep it too messy and all that sort of stuff. Definitely worth doing, because again, it's going to be a lot in this game. It's going to be a lot of things happening. So you definitely want to make sure that you are keeping track of things properly and just not going in completely blind. And yeah, that is just some basic stuff. It's nothing like super crazy, just a few little things that is worth noting and keeping track of. The game does also have a sort of built-in, I guess, story mode, if you want to call it that, where you can interact with certain characters, which definitely try to get through that kind of stuff because it's going to give you loads of rewards early on, probably just a lot of items being given to you, and keep track of those items. And any of the tickets, try again not to spend them early on. Try to just keep them at hand because they will be useful later down the line more so. So just don't waste a lot of your resources early in this game. Try to keep it at hand for later. And of course, another thing is the only seemingly way to earn like a lot of the points in this game, like the battle pass points and stuff like that, is going to be through competitive play. So you're going to have to get into that very early on. So like I said, make sure you prepare these things, make sure you play the mainline games and things of that nature ahead of time because it's going to benefit you at the end of the day. So yeah, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If it did help you in any kind of way, leave a like down below and subscribe. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, and hopefully you're excited for Pokemon Champions. I do have a few thoughts about it that I'll share very soon.